we're going to start our June 24th Leadership Council meeting. Thank you for joining us today. We're appreciative of your time. I know today's a big game day. At 6 o'clock, it's Mexico versus Czechia. And then Haiti's winning right now, and Brazil is beating Scotland. Haiti's beating Morocco. So for those that are following the World Cup today. But if we could just start with introductions, and then we'll use that to take roll. I'm Monterey County Supervisor Luis Alejo, Chair of the Leadership Council.
Michael Barr, Mayor of King City.
Colin Kuzmicki, Supervisor San Benito.
Donna Smith, Monterey County Office of Education.
Roxanne Wilson, County of Monterey.
Ian Oglesby, Mayor of Seaside.
Casey Powers, Interim Inc.
Ana Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Soledad.
Afternoon, Phil Sherwood, Monterey County Behavioral Health.
Wes White.
County Monterey Social Services. Sorry, Wes.
No worries. Wes White, lead committee.
Cindy Georgia, Homelessness Strategies and Initiatives at the County of Monterey.
Jacob Schaefer, Meals on Wheels, Monterey.
Fred Baker, ED Community Homeless Solutions.
Fabricio Chombo, Assistant Bureau Chief with Behavioral Health.
Zulika Boykin, Executive Director, Housing Authority, County of Monterey.
Anyone else?
Eva Jeronimo, Assistant Director, Department of Social Services.
Right. Thank you, Eva.
Jessica Macias with YWCA of Monterey County.
All right. I think we got everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for this June meeting. We're going to go to any additions or modifications to the agenda. Any? Katrina?
I did not add the consent agenda on. If we can get some approval for the minutes, I'm sorry about that.
Were the minutes added?
Yes, the minutes were added, but I didn't put on the agenda.
It's not listed there. Okay. We'll do that at the beginning after public comment to get the minutes out of the way. But they were included in the packet, everybody. Okay, seeing nothing else, let's go to public comments for items not on today's agenda. We'll allow up to 2 minutes for any items not on today's agenda. I don't see any hands raised. Okay, we'll move on. Then let's go to those minutes. We'll add that as item, I could probably say 3.1, adding the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor, you could please just say aye.
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 Those against? Any abstentions? All right, we'll deem that approved unanimously. We got a lot of items to cover, so we're going to go right into it. Item number 4, we got some important updates on our HUD CoC NOFO updates, and I'll just pass it to Katrina to take us through all those listed there.
Yeah, real quick, who was the second? I'm sorry I didn't catch it.
Mayor Velasquez.
Thank you so much, I appreciate that. And then yes, if we go to the next slide, we have Nicole Sakihara-Soper, Deputy Director and Focus Strategies here that will give you guys some updates on this year's NOFO.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming today. We just wanted to give you sort of a high-level overview of what we've been doing to date on the local competition, some of the major changes that you're going to be seeing for this competition from HUD, and then what our local priorities are going to be based off of those changes, and then some action steps that we're going to need from the Leadership Council. There are a few things that need to be changed in order to help make us more competitive nationally. And so we'll be asking for a few things from you all today. Where we are to date, so far we have, you all have established the ad hoc Leadership Council advisory body for the local competition, and they were able to approve those policies so that CHSP could launch the competition. We are currently in an application period, so all projects are currently filling out applications, and they have until July 7th to get those into the coalition. We had a bidders conference for any interested project applicants, and all of those materials can be found online at the CHSP website, including the recording and the slides. And then we are currently building an FAQ that will also go up on the site. We do have office hours planned for applicants, just in case there are any technical questions about the application. CHSP will not be answering any sort of questions about content or the way a project is designed and things like that, but we can help with my Excel sheet is not currently calculating, and we can help resolve those types of technical issues. So our estimated available funding. Nationally, there is approximately $4 billion. There is a new $1.3 billion set aside for new transitional housing and supportive service only projects. This is new for HUD to ever have a set aside, and especially one so large. And so that kind of already sets up what one of their priorities is going to be. But that does then affect the way that things are scored within our local competition, and the way that the COC will be seen competitively throughout the nation. For our Lead Me Home COC, we have an estimated annual renewal demand of $8 million. They just sent out our grant inventory worksheets, which sort of list each grant and how much they will be renewed for, and there were some issues with it. So we'll have to go back to HUD and get that final GIW in order for our numbers to be exactly right, and then we can report those out to you all. But our estimated COC bonus, which are the new projects that we can bring into our COC, is going to be approximately $1.2 million. And then our estimated domestic violence bonus for new domestic violence projects is $730,000. And once all of those things are fully published by HUD, we'll be able to send out a more definitive report about how much we're expecting to be able to compete for and how much we are expecting to be able to renew. So what changed in 2026? Their goals and their policy framework at HUD have drastically changed. We're seeing a complete rejection of Housing First, which is very harmful for our community. We really went full force with Housing First, and we know that it's the best practice for people experiencing homelessness and getting them housed, keeping them housed, and supporting them in the way that they need in order to sustain that housing. And then there is a focus on self-sufficiency and treatment and recovery, and then I will quote public safety, right? And those are all sort of based off of the executive orders that we've also seen. So not too different from what we saw in 2025, but they did manage to avoid the legal jargon or whatever it was that was fought against in the previous NOFO, and they just tried to word it a different way. The competition structure we'll see is different. There is 60% of our annual renewal demand will be in our Tier 1, which is the tier that you can almost pretty much guarantee will be funded. And in 2024, that was 90%. So in our community, there is about 77% of our projects are permanent housing. So that just means there are going to be some permanent housing projects, permanent supportive housing projects that could be in danger of falling into Tier 2, or that will definitely be in danger of falling into Tier 2. That $1.3 billion set aside for new transitional housing and supportive service projects in Tier 2. And then when those are getting scored and ranked nationally through HUD, those are given a priority. So, for example, you have a permanent housing project in Tier 2, they are more likely to they will fund a transitional housing project before they even consider that permanent housing project. And that permanent housing project may not get funded, absolutely not at all. And we can sort of expect that that's what's going to be happening, especially because While they haven't explicitly capped permanent housing, they have in other ways capped permanent housing. YHDP projects, our youth projects, are now going to be competitively ranked. This is similar to what happened in 2025, but in previous years, 2024 and previous, they had been auto-renewed, which was really great for our youth projects, but now they have to compete. Application narrative requirements and incentives. So there's new criteria about encampments, about law enforcement and your participation with law enforcement, how much treatment is offered in your community, mandatory service requirements, and the percent of projects that require services, and all of those things, if you include them in your competition, if they're policies throughout your continuum of care, you will get not bonus points, but you'll get the points that are needed to help make us more competitive. And then you see the executive order compliance conditions. There is very explicitly binary sex definition, immigration compliance, and like no DEI, no racial preferences, and things like that. What stayed the same? Our CFR is still in effect, everybody, so that's a win. There are still protections for program participants, as well as renewal thresholds for renewing and existing projects are still going to be performance-based. The performance metrics may look a little bit different, but they still will be performance-based. Participant eligibility requirements are still the same, and then existing service delivery obligations. So those who currently have a contract, you are still required to serve based on what that contract says. This year, they did also release guidance and a memo about the increased flexibility for permanent supportive housing and coordinated entry. This was released maybe just last week. And what it really means is they have rescinded the notice that had permanent supportive housing be required for chronic homeless individuals. So now permanent supportive housing only has to serve someone or a family with someone who has a disability. And no longer does it need to serve chronically homeless individuals. In our continuum of care, our coordinated entry prioritizes permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless individuals. So that just means they have given COCs the flexibility to change their coordinated entry policies, and that they no longer have to abide by that notice that had been sent out previously. If you are currently in a grant agreement, so those through the fiscal year 2025, you are still required to serve based on that notice that had previously existed, and coordinated entry is currently still going to function with that chronic homelessness priority as well. Some HUD priorities, right? Improving outcomes and supporting self-sufficiency, prioritizing the treatment, recovery, and supportive services, and having those within programs, on-site, increasing the competition throughout the nation and within local competitions as well as the accountability in the project performance. So looking at our system performance measures more closely, and making sure that we are hitting objectives toward that self-sufficiency. So for example, increasing your income, and a project helping somebody increase their income is going to be a bigger priority. Advancing public safety and reducing unsheltered homelessness, so that it does your COC, do the counties within your COC have some sort of encampment policy, and does it ensure that people are getting off the streets. Expanding access based on merit and eligibility, and merit and eligibility is based on a HUD definition, and it's not clearly defined, so it can be pretty flexible, and it gives HUD a lot of wiggle room to decide which programs they will and will not fund. Prioritizing transitional housing and supportive services over rapid rehousing and permanent housing, permanent supportive housing opportunities. And then advancing the recovery and prohibiting activities that enable illicit drug use. You'll see in our local policies this year, we had a policy related to this, and it just stated that we will not fund projects that enable illicit drug use or hand out drug paraphernalia, for example, needle exchange programs, or any sort of safe injection site programs. In our community, that just means we will be preserving as much permanent supportive housing as possible. That is going to be the focus, and that is going to be a priority for our ranking panel. And then submitting as competitive an application as we can as a COC to maximize the amount of Tier 2 that we can get funded. Because if we were to submit something that we submitted last year, we wouldn't be very competitive nationally. So we've had to make some adjustments to the scoring and the way projects are scored. We will be asking for you all to make some changes to the composition of the Leadership Council, and then just making sure that whatever projects we do select, they do have that performance that HUD is looking for. So Leadership Council, next steps. All right, we have new seats for the Leadership Council to increase that competitiveness. We are requesting to reschedule the Leadership Council meeting for August to be able to approve the consolidated application and the priority listing in time for us to be able to submit it. Otherwise, it would fall like the day before it was due, and that's stressful. And then recruiting non-conflicted rating panels and appeal panel members.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. Before we move on to these next steps, does anybody have any questions for Nicole? I know that was a lot of information that poured out, and Roxanne is the first one with her hand up. Go ahead.
Always. I just have peanut gallery comments to add because this is incredibly frustrating. Over the past 10 years, HUD has directed continuums of care and also has penalized continuums of care for not having enough permanent housing interventions that they're funding. So over the past 10 years, we have been moving all of our interim housing option interventions over to permanent supportives to have this administration completely change that and then penalize COCs for doing exactly what the federal government has told us to do is frustrating is not the word, but I will say that there are things that we should be grateful for. For example, we all are aware that our behavioral health had just gotten a big grant to help people experiencing homelessness, and this might be a good opportunity to leverage because they work so closely. I don't want to speak on behalf of you, Phil, but they work so closely with law enforcement as it is. They're already doing substance use stuff. They're already doing behavioral health stuff. So this might be a good opportunity to see like how we can leverage whatever you guys have going on and whatever the county has going on. The state has already started moving towards only funding communities that have encampment policies. So if you are a community that doesn't have one, the county has had one, our board had approved one that has cleared the state several times through all of our funding applications. I'd be happy to share that with you. I cannot guarantee that it is going to pass the sniff test for the federal government, but it definitely passed it for the state. And I also wanted to mention that there is a new lawsuit that rolled out. It is a gigantic coalition that that's suing the federal administration. And when I say gigantic, I mean it's not just the National Alliance to End Homelessness. It's the National Low Income Housing Coalition. It is the National Homeless Law Center. It's also the counties of Santa Clara, Kings, Tulare. So many counties have joined this, and also a lot of cities across the nation. Doesn't mean that there's going to be an injunction, but people are fighting. So that I wanted to share with the group. This council had also approved the system performance benchmark, so we'd already started moving in a direction that is in alignment with HUD system performance measures. And the County Board of Supervisors, Monterey County Board of Supervisors, just adopted the same exact benchmarks. I do encourage County of San Benito, if you guys haven't done it, to maybe potentially consider doing something similar so that you're just in alignment with the COC and all of the things that they are having to endure right now through this transition period. And then finally, my understanding, and Nicole, you guys, I think we have your consultants on the line too, is that they're not just talking about you can't fund a program that does harm reduction. I think it's at an agency level. So you guys may want to just clarify that, because we do know some organizations, the County of Monterey is one of them, where we have harm reduction programs. So theoretically, because we have harm reduction programs, the COC cannot knowingly disregard that, even though I'm in a whole different department. If they know that the county's doing that, then they would not be able to fund us. So again, I just want to just put all of those things on the table for everyone's consideration.
Thank you, Roxanne. Did Nicole or Allison, did you want to speak to if it's the program or the organization piece?
It is at the organization level. I would go look at what the policy that was created within the local competition policies, because we created something in direct response to this. So I would go look at the details there, but it is for your agency as a whole, although it's very specific harm reduction activities. They have a very skewed perception of harm reduction at the federal level. So I would read in the details. I mean, it's very like needle exchanges, like the very explicit allowing visible on site. So I think we had a couple questions about, does methadone clinics count other things like this? And I think I would read it as the very literal description that they have and figure out from that if it would disqualify your agency. But there are details in the local competition policies. We explicitly made this policy so that we can try and maximize your community's points in the COC application. So look for the details there.
Thank you. And thank you, Roxanne, for all of those updates. That I was going to bring up the lawsuit, so thank you for doing that for me. So now we want to talk about our leadership council seats. In the 2025 NOFO, we had started looking into adding law enforcement and business to our seats and to our council, and then it dropped. So we kind of dropped moving that forward. And so prior to that, we had some recommendations for the Monterey Lieutenant Jacob Pincus for law enforcement, and then we had John Tilley, he's the Senior Relationship Manager and Vice President for Pinnacle Bank, and John has been attending CHFP and Leadership Council meetings since roughly 2018, and I'm actually surprised he's not on this call today. So in addition to that, we need the representation from workforce development, as well as we do not have, I mean, we can look at behavioral health as part of the healthcare provider, but we used to have CCAH, well, we have a seat for CCH specifically, and I have not been able to get a representation from them for like 2 years now. So last I spoke to them, they said that they're really shorthanded in who can be an active participant, and we haven't heard from them since. So we have to look at these four categories and what we would like to do. And if you guys still want to move forward with the first two, with John Tilley and in business, and Lieutenant Jacob Pincus for law enforcement. So
Katrina,
part of the discussion.
Yeah, thank you. And CCAH, Central Coast Alliance for Health, for those that are not familiar with the acronym. But so we're ready to go on 2 of these, right? And I've always had concerns about expanding our board more because we've always had quorum issues. So that still remains today. But this is a recommendation because to make ourselves more competitive, we have to kind of go with these changes that are happening and these new kind of requirements. So we have to adjust despite our prior feelings on this, right? And we hopefully we'll get people who will participate and quorum won't be an issue. But and law enforcement has participated in the past. We used to have somebody, Art Valdez from parole, who attended for many years until he was not able to do it anymore. So it wouldn't be something new, but to get another a representative from law enforcement would be great. Somebody from banking, that would be great as well. And then we would continue to look and try to recruit people to fill those other 2 positions. So thank you, Katrina, for bringing up 2 really good candidates. And so you want to entertain a motion then to approve those 2, and then we can bring back the other 2 perhaps at our next meeting. Correct?
our next meeting, we would probably already be submitting our application.
Okay, so perhaps we could fulfill those we could do an email vote if we find somebody, right?
Yeah, if you guys have any recommendations. Allison, do you think behavioral health can sit as, yes, that's what Roxanne was saying, as the healthcare provider?
Okay.
They can meet that requirement?
Let me look into the details. I have the scoring criteria for the seats board representation that they're looking for. So let me look at the details really quickly here, and then we can circle back on that. I know that basically there were some additional seats that if you have the majority of these seats outlined and ideally filled, it can increase your score by up to 4 points in this subsection. So let me check and look into the behavioral health piece. I think they are a healthcare provider, behavioral health, so I think you could probably make that argument, but let me look at the details of the merit scoring. I have it pulled up right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
And maybe we could entertain a motion to approve the 4 seats and then filling 2 or 3 today and leaving the workforce development to be perhaps filled by an email vote.
Yeah, Roxanne is saying that Enrique oversees the workforce development board for San Benito. So maybe that can also fulfill that requirement as well. So we could be like 90% there at this point.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it's really the law enforcement and business.
And then the health, would we want to make that a representative from the health department, the Behavioral Health Bureau?
That is looking like that actually does apply. I just pulled the exact language, and it says a representative from a behavioral health or primary health provider. So I think you're covered, behavioral health board.
Perfect. Yeah. So Elsa and Philip, they meet that requirement.
Great. So can we entertain a motion to approve the 4 positions on the board as outlined on the screenshot, and then approve the 3 representatives? If you could say law enforcement, what's the person's name again?
Jacob Pincus.
Okay, from the Monterey Police Department. Business?
John Tilley from Pinnacle Bank.
Okay, and then we don't have a designated person yet, but we will get somebody appointed by the Behavioral Health Bureau of Monterey County.
Bill's on here.
So,
yeah.
So I'm Elsa's designee in this meeting, so does it make sense to actually have Elsa remain and then appoint somebody from behavioral health?
Yes.
Like Melanie, for instance?
Yes.
Will Barra make that motion?
Okay.
Roxanne, second.
Okay, and Philip, can you say Melanie's last name again?
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be her, but Melanie Rhodes is our bureau chief, and
we'll say Melanie Rhodes or her designated person, right?
Yeah.
So that way we could just have it, leave that open with flexibility for that appointment from that Behavioral Health Bureau. Okay, and then we'll come back to workforce development. If it could be Enrique, we could appoint him, or we could fill that role, or else we would find somebody to be sent out on an email vote. That motion has been made by Mike Labar. Is there a second?
It's Roxanne, second.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against or abstentions? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. We can move to that next item.
That's the rescheduling of the Leadership Council meeting in August.
Okay. Do we have a proposed date? Or will that have to be done by sending something out to everybody to see what works?
Yeah, so 1 second, I have some proposed times up. It's on our agenda. So we could reschedule our August meeting and move it up to August 18th, 19th, or 20th, or have it just a special meeting and continue to have our August meeting to handle other business. So if you guys want, so the recommendation is August 18th, 19th, or the 20th.
Are there times on the agenda? I could pull it up, but I just need to. Or on your.
No, we just kind of freed our day.
Supervisor Alejo, are we back on the 18th? The board? You think so?
Yes, that's the first day back from summer recess.
So Monterey County's out on the 18th.
18th, yeah. I can't do that day, but I could make it work on the 19th or the 20th.
So what if we use our regularly scheduled times of like 3:30 to 5? I mean, it shouldn't take the whole 90 minutes, but we never know what it's going to be like.
Right.
The 19th.
And that would be rescheduling instead of doing a special meeting, right, Katrina?
It's up to you guys. I think just moving it up and not having a meeting the very next week would be helpful.
That would be my
for
preference.
everybody. Yeah.
Let's do that.
The 19th would be preferable for me.
Is that good with everybody? Unless we hear any objections, we can move it up so we can make sure we are meeting our timeline here.
That's fine. That's fine with me.
Okay.
That works.
Any objections from anybody? Mayor Velasquez, you want to speak on this?
Yeah, I just have a question. So for the meeting agenda for that time, so is there, obviously I know there's some deadlines and timelines, but is it specific, Katrina, what we're just going to meet for? Can we also have just specific agenda items, or is it going to be a full agenda? Do you know? Only because I know that August is a busy month and it's obviously people, it'll be busy for me. So I just want to make sure we know, is it going to be a full agenda or is it critical items only?
It's a full agenda because we're only moving our regular meeting a week up only.
Yeah, so to include the CMC application, the priority listing, and get everything together. And then if there's any other major items going on by that time, we would have to get it through to the Leadership Council since we're moving our meeting up.
Okay, thank you.
But Mayor Velasquez, if we can, we will try to keep it as concise as possible. We just don't know how much work is going to be needed to take action on. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I just wanted to say overall on what's coming in on that NOFO, $8 million is great that continued despite the added challenges from the federal administration, but the added almost $2 million in new funding is exciting to have some new opportunities to do more in this area of work. So that is very good news and something we should be really looking forward to. Okay, can we now jump to the HAP updates on two?
Real quick, we need some support with our, I know, sorry, there's not another slide here, with our ranking and appeals panel recruitment. We have some conflicts now with folks reaching out, wanting to apply. So we are pretty slim on folks accepting to participate in our ranking panel because they want to apply. So we need non-conflicted folks to volunteer. And
how many do you need? One,
at
two?
At least three.
Okay.
At least three.
Are there any?
Tim said he'll do it, so I have one.
Okay. Mayor Velasquez or anyone else?
Chair LeBar, Karen, I would like to know, am I conflicted any applications going in?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
I believe the city of Soledad is.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I'm not sure about this. I don't believe the city of King is applying, so you should be okay, Mayor LeBar.
Okay, I will definitely do that and just double check and see if there's any conflict with anything the housing authority is doing or the step up the provider to make sure there's no conflict. Otherwise, just let me know. And thank you, Chair.
Thank you for willing to step up, Mayor. Anyone else? We need one more, right?
Please. Yeah.
One more person, not conflicted.
Yeah, I did ask Department of Social Services, John Gill's team to assign somebody. Were you able to take that on, John?
Yes, I can help out.
Oh, thank you. There we go.
Thank you, John.
No worries.
Okay, so we have a ranking panel if you guys want to, approve that, but we also need someone, a group of folks to stand by for appeals. So I would just need 2 more folks to join for appeals because somebody from ranking will be on appeals.
Mayor Oglesby, I'll volunteer for appeals.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else for appeals? We need 1 more person for appeals. This is only in case somebody appeals their application, right?
Yeah, Katrina, I can do it. I'm not sure if it'll, since John's going to be on there, would I be able to do it?
I could just not have John on to join the appeals.
Okay.
He did the ranking and then, yeah.
Okay, so Eva Jeronimo for appeals, if needed.
Yes,
Great.
if needed.
Okay, we mentioned all those people, so do we need a motion to approve those?
Please.
Okay, and then you said what else? You needed something else for the committee approved, Katrina? Not only
that's it.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve those folks mentioned for those roles?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Casey. Is there a second?
Kosmicki, second.
Thank you, Supervisor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any against or abstentions? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now let's go to the HAP reports.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to have Abrina Ganadin jump in. She is our COC program manager to give you guys an update. She's been working really hard with all of our organizations and the state of California on this, and she's well versed in what is taking place. So I'll pass it over to Abrina.
Thank you, Katrina, and hello, everyone. I will just be providing a few quick HAP updates. So on this slide here, it's a quick snapshot of where we currently are with HAP 2 and 3 and the expenditure deadline that's coming up soon. HAP 2 is currently 93% expended with $103,735 remaining. And HAP 3 is 97% expended with $121,344 remaining to be spent. So we are close, but not quite out of the woods yet. And with the state deadline approaching in less than a week, our focus is now on what's needed to get us over the finish line. So next slide, please, Nicole. This slide here shows where those remaining balances are currently sitting per agency. Excuse me. For Step Up, the remaining balance is $59,516 across rounds 2 and 3. And for San Benito, the remaining balance is $111,901 across both rounds. Interim still has $34,691 remaining in HAP 3, but they are currently on track with their spend down projections. I do want to note that these balances do reflect the timing of the reporting cycle for these grants. So these specific agencies submit reports for the previous month by the end of the following month. So the current numbers showing here may not reflect the most recent expenditures. It is possible that some or all of these funds have already been spent, but we may not have that confirmed through reporting until the end of July. Sorry, my mouth is dry. So given the circumstances and the need to meet the June 30th expenditure requirement, CHSP will be amending contracts and paying out the remaining funds to these agencies. The agencies will then be required to fully expend the funds and submit complete expenditure reporting within 90 days. Additionally, CHSP will be adjusting future contract timelines by using shorter terms and earlier dates, which gives us more time on the back end to address any delays, support timely spend down, and reduce the risk of funds remaining unspent so close to state expenditure deadlines. So overall, the goal is to keep the current funds moving while also building in stronger timelines and checkpoints for future HAP contracts. Next slide. And this slide here is just a brief funding overview of all the other HAP rounds. Round 4 is 58% expended with a 100% expenditure deadline of June 30th, 2027. Round 5 is 44% expended with a deadline of June 2028. CHSP recently signed the standard agreement for HAP Round 6 and is currently waiting to receive our initial base allocation of $1.8 million, which is 50% of the full award of $3.7 million. While no HAP 6 funds have been spent to date, $1.5 million has been dedicated to Interim Inc. for the Marina Kai PSH project. So with that pre-allocation in place, we should be well positioned to meet the June 30th, 2027 requirements to receive the remaining half of the HAP 6 award.
And then if I could just jump in real quick. So one, like Sabrina said, we have not started awards or anything of the sort just yet, with the exception of interim that took place, I think early this year, or last year. I think it was 2025 when we awarded interim. But we really want to look at what this NOFO is going to, how this NOFO is going to position our community before we start looking into awards. We want to make sure that this could be some gap funding for folks that might not be able to fully go to keep their projects going, or are not able to apply. Excuse me. But I'm passing it back to you, Abrina.
Thank you. And then for HAP 7, the legislature has proposed $900 million statewide, but negotiations are still happening between the legislature and the governor. The final budget still needs to be approved or vetoed by June 29th. So at this time, we don't have a confirmed allocation amount or timeline. We do know that HAP 7 is expected to come with additional accountability and performance requirements. So CHSP will continue monitoring state guidance and will bring updates back once more information is available. And that's all I have.
Great. All good reports. And just I just wanted to check, we have communicated with those in Step Up, San Benito County, and Interim. We have circled in with them to make sure that they're going to use that money by the end, with the remaining days that we have left in this month, right?
Yes. So what HCD has allowed is that we have to get them out of our banks and into the hands of the providers. So that is kind of what is taking place right now. And then they have 90 days from June 30th to expend those funds. And if they are unable to do that, then we will recall those funds. It will go back into our interest, and we will bring it back to the Leadership Council for recommendations of future funding, funding other projects.
Great, because that's over almost just over $200,000. I want to make sure we're utilizing every dollar that we can, and it's good to hear that there's a 90-day period that they still have to spend that money. Great. Let's go to those who have raised their hands. I got Mike Labar, then Roxanne, and then Mayor Velasquez.
Thank you, Chair. So, Katrina, just to confirm, when is the date those funds would have to be sent back if not used?
To the state, or
whenever those funds were not able to use them again and they have to go back.
So, okay, to meet the state requirements, we are getting it out of our bank and over to them. So to the state, our funding has been spent in its entirety. Now, they only can use those funds up to June 30th, but we're giving them time to reconcile their accounts do all their bookkeeping, because what we're seeing that is trending across many organizations is they forgot something in previous months, or they are just frankly just slow to get their books up to date. So we're giving them a 90-day grace period to get their books in order to submit their final expense report for the month of June. Now, HEP is not allowing any back billing, so it can only be for June expenses. So June, July, August, September. So by September, that's when they will have to send the funding back to us if they were unable to fully expend those funds.
Thank you for the clarification, and I would request, Chair, going forward, that all of this conversation should be 2 months before, and it should be about removing the funding, because we cannot be put in a position where we could lose it, because we're down just 1 month of expenditures that could be accounted for. And so I think we need to move towards you lose it 2 months prior, and then it's on a piecemeal, because we got to start reallocating sooner.
Yeah.
And I thank you for everyone keeping an eye on this.
Yeah, and we did bring it up the last meeting and the meeting before that, and we were circling in but I think the changes they want to make in terms of earlier timeline, and I agree with Mike. We got to do it sooner than the last 6 days of the fiscal year, right? So, but staff say they're going to make those timelines to avoid doing this at the very end of the month. Let's go to Roxanne and then Mayor Velasquez.
I just wanted to make sure I understood, if you had to recapture it, you would classify it as your interest because we had already dispersed interest, right? And the reason why I'm asking is because interest is a much broader way to spend money. You could allocate it to any category.
Any category, yeah.
So if you were to recapture it, but classify it as interest, since we already spent our interest, my question then comes to, would it be possible for you to look at other rounds of HAP, future rounds, and do back-end funding swaps? So, for example, if you see people are spending in HAP 5, but you have unexpended, if you have unexpended funds in HAP 2, can you just do the funding swap and free up HAP 5 and use that? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm sorry, it's like I'm doing a terrible job at explaining it, so I hope you understand.
In the back end,
yeah,
you're hoping to swap.
Maybe, is what your face is telling me.
Me? Mike? Yeah. Well, I was trying to... Keisha has echo, so I don't know exactly what she said. Nicole, do you kind of understand what she means? I think we've talked about this before.
Yes, we could, yes. The answer to that question is yes. But I think there is a certain amount of interest that is already dedicated to community human services. So anything that accrues until we hit that point with community human services would go to them.
Perfect, thank you.
Mayor Velasquez.
Thank you, Chair. My comments are just in regards to, I know we've been discussing this for a couple of months now, but making sure just the clarification that any expenditures that happen only have to be attributed to June 30th, right? Katrina, you can't expend in August or September. It has to be June 30th, and then that has to be reflected in whatever invoices or you get for verification. It just has to be for June 30th. So I think for me with that is making sure, and I know that everybody's struggling to provide the services, but again, just to reiterate, and I know they've said it already, but I know there's reports that are being submitted, but making sure that if there's any challenges, that those are being captured or addressed beforehand, so that way there's the ability to be able to swap or give additional agencies of funding, so we don't get to the space where the money's now here, and the money's here, but we're almost in June 30th and they can't expend the money, the funds. And I don't know what the challenges are, so I think it's also understanding what are the challenges for the expenditures of these funds. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, and if I can just really quickly speak to that, sometimes it's just late billing. People get, they don't get their invoices from their vendors or contractors until later, and I understand that when it comes to this type of reimbursable funding. So we've been keeping an eye on it, and I really think that how Sabrina explained us, shortening the timeline or moving up the deadline for the end of the contract will really help us. And I think it's really just also, when we bring these things to the leadership council that we're able to just move forward. And it's just unfortunate when we have to reallocate funds, but like we said, we're getting down to the wire, and it is quite, it's not a huge amount of money, but it is a lot of money in the event we're unable to, get it out.
Yes. And I think it's been said several times, Katrina, and as you recommended, let's make sure that we make those changes for the future HAP funding rounds, so the contracts reflect the timing needed to make sure we're not sending any money back. Keisha Lopez, you want to say something?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, perfect. No, I wanted to say that I know that I'm coming up next with the state ESG, but we're essentially going to touch on a similar topic, which is I think what has helped in the past is expanding the number of recipients of the funds. So whenever you're needing to pivot and transition, funding from one agency to another, if you have multiple contracts that you can just easily amend, it makes it easier to move the money to another agency. So as a COC, I think as a whole, maybe having some sort of metric for how many agencies we fund to help increase our chances of spending the funds in a sufficient amount of time. So I just wanted to add that.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, this was information only, Katrina, right? I did want to just speak to the HAP 7. Obviously, this year we did not get a HAP round of funding this current fiscal year it's ending. The legislature last year had only recommended this next fiscal year to give $500 million, which was half of what we normally got in these HAP rounds of funding, which was $1 billion. But I wanted to take a moment to thank Speaker Robert Rivas, Senator John Laird, the Senate Budget Chair. Don Addis is a Budget Sub-Chair of Health. But the governor had gave us zero at the beginning of the year in January in the governor's budget, and the May revise had zero. This increase from 500 to 900 million came from the legislature. So when you see those folks, please thank them for the increase in funding, because that came from the leadership of both houses, and it really made a difference. I wanted to say that our county advocated for that increase. The California State Association of Counties also funded, along with RCRC. Other local government associations had advocated supporting that increase. We asked for the billions, kept told, but 900 out of $1 billion is close enough, and we appreciate that. So I just wanted to give that acknowledgement. All right, let's go to our next item then. If there's no other comments, let's go to governance. ESG funding. This is to Keisha Lopez.
Thank you,
Keisha,
Supervisor Lejo.
Did you want us to pull up the other document?
Maybe the tail end where it says recommended action.
And for those that
Thank you, Katrina.
City of Salinas administers this funding stream, ESG funding stream, and so that's why they periodically come to us with their proposed use of the funding to get an approval from this Leaving Home Leadership Council.
Thank you so much. Yep. Nicole, Katrina, do you want me to just jump
can go.
Oh yeah, you can. Then you can just. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing the screen. Oh, sorry. Okay, never mind. I'll just jump in. Okay, so hi everyone. Keishla Lopez, Homeless Services Manager with the City of Salinas. Supervisor Alejo and the chair has mentioned is that the city currently oversees the administration of the state ESG Emergency Solutions Grant funding. We applied for the NOFO last year in around June, and what was different about this NOFO is that they announced that it was going to be a 3-year cycle. So normally we have to apply for the ESG NOFO every year, and we always have limited time to spend the funds, kind of to the point of what Nicole and Abrina were saying is if we don't plan ahead, we're at the very last minute trying to figure out how to spend down the money when push comes to shove. And so with the new changes that the state has made, it allows the administrator of the funds to amend the contracts rather than executing new contracts, which will help remove some of that administrative burden. And so we received notification from the state that we received a second allocation. The second allocation is for the amount of $205,397. And so it is less than the previous allocation, which was around $270,000. So some of the recipients of the funds that we're recommending received funding in the last term for a higher amount. And this term, I know there was questions of why is it less? It's less because our allocation was reduced around $50,000. So therefore, we reduced the recommendations for the agencies that we funded the previous year. So one of the actions is to approve the recommended motion right here is to continue the agreements with these agencies that were funded the first round: Salinas Outreach and Response Teams, Street Outreach Services for $47,057, Home Resource Center $20,000, Rapid Rehousing for I believe this is HACA in Monterey, and that is $62,000, and then Street Outreach McHome $49,380. And so these are the recommendations that the City of Salinas is making based off of their agency's spending trends with their previous round of funding. And to that point, the second motion is to request a retroactive reallocation of $30,000 from Community Homeless Solutions Home Resource Center to Community Human Services. And so those are the two actions. Any questions?
Great. Any questions? Otherwise, we could consider both those actions in one singular motion. I'll entertain that now if there's no questions. Anyone?
This is Roxanne. I'll move.
Okay. Is there a second?
Bar, second.
Bar.
I'll give that to Kosmicki.
Supervisor Kosmicki, seconds. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any against or abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Who was that?
Casey.
Okay, Casey, thank you. Okay. Appreciate that, and I want to thank the City of Salinas for administering the ESG grant for many years, and we appreciate your leadership on that. Okay.
Thank you, Supervisor. One last announcement. Just wanted to say that the agencies who were approved for today will receive an amended contract in the next 30 days.
Great. Thank you. Let's go to number 5, governance. The governance charter work with Homebase.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, next slide still. Just wanted to let everybody know that we have been invited to partner with some grant writing with Homebase through Packard Foundation. They selected us to work on some other projects, which I will talk about in the next slide. But we have submitted a proposal for support in updating our governance charter that is currently pending. So we're proposing to update our governance charter with the current changes we've talked about today with our council seats, along with updating old language, outdated language, and really restructuring our governance charter to what is really happening on this level. The coalition will do its first run through internally, and then we will pass it over to our governance committee for further input and feedback, and how you would like to any other restructures that you would like to do. So we're really excited that they reached out to us to get this work done, and that was just a nice little update for you guys. Does anybody have any questions? All right, we'll move to the next slide. So on this slide, we're talking about our cards update, and we have some, we've been telling you all the things that have been going on with coordinated entry, but with Packard Foundation, they wanted to do some work with us with Homebase, and they will be doing some older adult homelessness analysis in the next quarter, and then we're going to start looking at the evaluation of our current CARD implementation. So we'll do a 6-month look back on how this process has been working or not working, how we can improve, and then we'll also do a 12-month look back after we get feedback on improvement or what's working, what's not working. So we're really excited for these partnerships, and we've moved on to the Unsheltered point in time count. So hopefully nobody has any questions on that. I have our Unsheltered point in time data currently. I just got it about last week and a half ago, and we're really excited to roll it out. We're just doing final drafts, having some trusted folks take a look at it to look over for grammatical errors and flow, and just weigh in on how the report is being presented. I am proposing that we roll out something similar that we did in the previous years of rolling it out in closed session to our Leadership Council and CHSP membership. But I was thinking, should we do 3 meetings, or should we just also invite government staff and providers into that one shot, and then I do a press release? That's kind of my proposal at this point, just because time, and as soon as we get it out to, the public, Leadership Council, CHSP membership, it's a high probability that it gets out to the world. So I'm proposing to schedule a meeting to roll this out. It's not 6-7. I'm looking at July 6th or 7th, and if that works for you all, I'm so sorry.
I thought it was like one of those new kid trends things,
Yeah.
Hey, but yes, everybody, this is big news. This is our point of time count from January. Thank you to all the volunteers in both San Benito and Monterey County. We've been waiting to find out, did we go up or did we go down in terms of our PIT homelessness numbers? And so I think, Katrina, it'd be great to have everybody in one meeting if that's possible. That way we all hear it at the same time, and one group doesn't hear it over the other, and then it leaks, and ready to have a press release to go out as soon as that meeting is over. I think that's the best way to contain the information, and I think our board is looking forward to find out what the results are. I know you had some preliminary numbers, but then it needed to be refined, but what you have now is going to be ready to go on July 6th or 7th, right? So, so everybody, that meeting would be important just so everybody could hear what the numbers look like in our county, both counties. And will it have the breakdown by cities as well, Katrina?
Yes, it will be broken down by cities as well. And then I will be scheduling a presentation in partnership with Enrique on the San Benito County side as well. So we're working on getting a whole combined COC one, and then there's the Monterey one, and then there's the San Benito County one, and then the jurisdictional breakdown.
And we anticipate a meeting would be, what, half an hour to just go over the results, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be a brief meeting, but everybody wants to know what the numbers look like before the rest of the world gets it, the news outlet gets it. We want to make sure our leadership council board and our other partners get heads up before everybody else does. So please join that meeting. It will be short, but it will be important for you to be able to get those numbers, and look at those numbers that are relevant to your respective communities as well, for some of our mayors and supervisors.
Thank you. So it's just, informational update. We'll have those invites going out. I'm really leaning towards July 7th. It's just a freer day in my life, but hopefully everybody can make it. We will also record it, and we will also share all the data as soon as the presentation is over. I'll do it with a press release and send it out to everybody.
Katrina, Tuesdays, I don't know about Supervisor Kosmicki, but we have Board of Soups meeting on Tuesdays, and because that's our last meeting before we go on summer recess, it might be a long for us, right? So if this work, the Monday or the Wednesday.
Okay, we'll talk it over with staff a little bit more, but we'll send a meeting invite to you all, information, and you guys, you'll get the information, but, I want you to also have time to ask questions if needed, in real time. So it works. If you can make it, you can make it. If not, you'll have all the information.
Hey, Katrina, can you just remind people, how many volunteers do we have this year for that pit count in both
we were a little under 200 for Monterey County, and San Benito County hit about like 88, 89, which is more than they usually have. So, but we were able to, on the Monterey County side, we were able to hit all of our census tracts. Some folks even took on additional census tracts, and I think Supervisor Alejo, you were one of them. And despite not having all the volunteers we wanted to have, we were still able to get the work done.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot more than the previous year, so good job.
Yeah.
Improvement, everybody. So, thank you. You want to go to Summit Planning, our Homelessness Summit?
Yes.
27.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I told you guys already, but we are really excited to announce that we have been meeting on a bi-weekly basis to plan our 2027 Summit on Homelessness. It'll be on April 30th. We're working on having 12 sessions, and our theme is Building Resilience, the Power of Partnership, Collaboration, and Community. We'll be implementing a $30 fee, and we are finalizing our sponsorship packages for distribution, and are in the process of developing a financial support or exemption policy for those who need support. And we'll be rolling out People's Choice nominations in the next month or so. So we're really excited. I have Donna and Roxanne and John Gill, DSS, and all of our staff participating in rolling this out. So we have already located and booked the venue. It will be at Steinbeck Center, per usual. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of end on something exciting that is really needed in our community, and something we look forward to. And I thank you guys for your grace and helping us, push these back when times get really busy, and for agreeing to going every other year, because once a year is kind of a lot for us.
Yeah, great. This would be our third, right? Our third Homelessness Summit?
This would be our fourth.
Our first one was, we've done three, right? Even better.
Yeah, we've done three. This will be our third in person, but our fourth for sure.
The first was on Zoom because of COVID, but that's great. And the fact that we're doing these every 2 years is more doable. But I think we're one of the few COCs that is doing something like this on a consistent basis. I haven't heard of any other areas that are doing this. I think one goal that I always had was try to get more decision makers, policy makers in, some more mayors and council members from both counties in. So I just want to make sure, and I got an updated list, Katrina, of all the local council members and mayors and supervisors. So I'll make sure that we put them in our list, just so when the invite goes out, we get more of those decision makers, because we need more champions to address homelessness in both counties moving forward. And the fee is new, but I think it helps offset the costs. There's some big costs for like the live streaming and some of the technical stuff. But many of our organizations are able to afford that. But we also have the waivers for those that are in need and can't pay the $30. So we'll make sure that is doable for everybody to be able to attend who wants to. Any questions? Let's go to Donna.
Hi. Oops. Hi. So thank you. As part of the, working on the planning with this, I think one thing's important to remember, and this is consistent in all the different conferences that we plan, either through MCOE or other organizations, about 30% of the people that sign up don't show. And the only concern I have about that, we're hoping that $30 fee might inspire people to, hey, I paid to go to this, because then a lot of times there's a wait list and there's people that want to come that can't come. So I think moving forward, that's going to be a message that we want to get out, that if you sign up, please plan on coming. Also, the food costs are tremendous, and it's really hard for the organizations, to watch all of that food go to waste. I know it's a small thing, but we want to open this up to as many people that we can, and so some careful thought about attendance is really important to us.
Agreed. Very good points, Don. I appreciate you bringing those up, because, we don't want to see empty seats or empty food and empty opportunities for people who want to attend that couldn't, because last time I think we were maxed out and had to turn people away, and then some people didn't show. So we'll be cognizant of that as we carry out the planning of this. Other folks, let's go to Mayor Labar.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question. Is there anything that is done at the Homeless Summit that would qualify as training for like a city member, a city staff member? There probably isn't, but I'm just curious. Is there anything that we can do to say that's training?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is part of this kind of re-envisioning of this event. So, we have a really great team on our team, our planning team that is looking into that, and I'm pulling up my notes right here to see what exactly. And Roxanne and Donna, you guys can jump in. John, you guys could all jump in if you like. We have some frontline staff training opportunities, looking into resource and collaboration connections.
Okay, I'll listen to the rest offline. The second part of the question would be, that's great to hear. Are we issuing any kind of certificates of completeness, X amount of hours towards this that could be used as well as something more formal in a lot of our training requirements at the city level, where we could actually count those? And it's back to the original problem of not having people sign up and not showing, and this would have helped justify even the cost even more. And I'd love to hear some of the different examples. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, for those that don't know, for those in elected office, some of us have to do like the ethics training, AB 1234. Now there's like a civil rights or discrimination, anti-discrimination training. That there's a lot that's included under those terms. There's another one about financial ethics. Anyways, but I think that's what Mike's getting to, that it might, some of these requirements, if they could fit, they could make it work to be able to fulfill some of those requirements as well for those elected officials.
I think that's a great idea. I know I would like to kind of get a list of maybe what requirements you have that this could fulfill, and then we could generate a certificate or a passport or something like that that would be beneficial to your employees as well.
Yep. All right, we'll explore that. Thank you, Mike, Mayor Labar, for bringing that up. Anyone else? Okay, we're excited. We got to do some fundraising still, so we might reach out to some folks, just reaching out to some of our funders from last time, and maybe some new ones. If you know anybody that could donate at any amount, their name gets put into the program. They get acknowledged during the event, and so we want to be able to keep those partnerships going as well. All right, if there's nothing else more on that, we are down. That was number 7. There's nothing on number 8, HMIS. So I think we're done, everybody. All right.
Yeah, we're all finished. I just want to acknowledge my team because we actually have a couple minutes, which we haven't had in a very long time at these meetings. We've said goodbye to our youth with lived experience CARS coordinator, Danielle. She's finished her master's degree in social work and has moved to a crisis clinic, and we are in recruitment mode. We have opened 4 positions to fill our administrative coordinator, our finance analyst, and our CARS and HMIS coordinator position. So we are a small but mighty team that have a lot going on, and I just want to take the time to acknowledge them, because everything that you've seen today is not by my hands alone. It takes my whole entire team, including a lot of you all in this room who help us get to where we got to get. So taking a moment for, appreciation of them and you all. Thank you.
Great. And just to end, I would encourage people to attend the July 6th or 7th or 8th meeting because I'm saying that in a forward-looking way. So you would want to get the news of the pit count that we've been all waiting for. So I'm just trying to signal what is coming. Remember today, Mexico plays at 6, United States plays tomorrow at 7. Go USA, go Mexico, and everybody, we'll see you at our August meeting or at the July meeting on the pit count. All right. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.